Good morning, everybody. Welcome to High Point Market. Welcome to Regina Andrew. My name is Neil McKenzie. I'm the CMO here, and this is our first of 7 fireside chats that we're having. These are supposed to be intimate conversations of different discussions that affect you, your business, the industry. I kind of refer this. It's like our MTV Unplugged. So it's a little different than most panels you'll get to go to because we have floor seating as well. So if it's your first time here, thank you for visiting us. We have a lot to see in our showroom. I would just recommend if you haven't checked in at a front desk and you want to explore the showroom, just check in at one of our desks. You can do so right here. We also have these really cool quote scanners. So you can go and shop the entire showroom using the quote scanner. Everything you scan will actually go into your online account. So it makes it super easy to access all the things that you're interested in after the fact. And then we also have what we call our Thrill of the Hunt spot behind you all here, which is our vintage and jewelry pop up. So our team hand makes jewelry up in Detroit, where our company originates. And if you don't know a little bit about Regina Andrews, so uh, Carla, Regina, James, Andrew are the founders. The company was founded just over 25 years ago. We like to say, founded by creatives for creatives. So I think what you'll see as you go through, they're the lead designers for all the products that we have here. The other thing that makes us a little different from your showroom shopping experience here in High Point is everything you see is part of Regina Andrew within our showroom experience. So everything is available to purchase, which we would love for you to do. So I'm going to kick it over to Tori. I think Tori does such a great job just in terms of her business, her photography, and I think leading discussions like this of things that I think will impact not only your personal brand, but also your business. So Tori, I'll kick it over to you. Thank you.
I appreciate you, your team. I love the through line here at the showroom this year. You're just telling such a strong visual story. So, rock on. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I'm thrilled for you to all be here. I'm thrilled to poise this conversation and have it as just really relaxed. We're just friends talking and chatting, right, Jacqueline? And who am I? I'm Tori Sikkema. I'm an Architectural Digest approved interior and editorial photographer. And really working with designers is my passion. It's my creative calling. And I try to help you interpret your spaces in a way that's editorially elevated. So it's not just capturing and documenting your project, but it's poising it for positioning it for press, and really your brand visibility. So, in addition to that, I'm a co creative partner of The Living Edit, and that is an immersive design experience where we dive into brand positioning, photography, and styling. Um, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So I'm thrilled to be here. This is a behind the scenes look at how design, styling, lighting, and photography work together. And so the projects don't just look beautiful, but they actually work for you. It's the toughest thing when you have these assets and you invest in a photo shoot and photography. What are they actually doing for you? We want them to start working for you. So we're going to talk about that. And my esteemed panelists this morning are just incredible. I want each of them to just take a moment to briefly introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your perspective.
Hi, everyone. It's so beautiful to see all of your faces. I'm super happy to be here. My name is Mariah Rich. I'm the founder of Mariah Rich Studio. My background is in luxury fashion. So that's where I came from and learned a lot about what it means to create meaningful sort of exposure, but also how to shape a story. And I do that now in my work as an interior stylist. So for me, it's really about how can I bring intention and an editorial view. And I'm also the co-founder of The Living Edit. So super happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Allison Handler from Allison Handler Design. I'm super pumped to be here. Regina Andrew actually has a very special place in my heart. I'm a brand ambassador for the brand, so it's very cool, you know, to be on a panel here. We're a full service interior design firm in Bergen County, New Jersey, right outside of the city. We do everything from full renovations to new builds, full furnishing. That's my amazing team right there. Um, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ella Baker. I am the founder and principal designer of Element Design Studio. We're a full service interior design and architecture firm that creates timeless interiors with a modern perspective. We try to add personality to spaces. Our goal is always that when as someone comes over to our client or homeowner's house, they can learn a little bit about the people that live there. Our favorite projects are historic renovations where we can honor and preserve the original architecture and kind of add an unexpected or modern flair, or a new build where we can layer in details like millwork, beautiful timeless lighting, where people might question if it's old or new. Um, we I have a deep background in this industry. My family's in design, construction, real estate. I've always just loved interior design, have a knack for millwork, cabinetry, and a deep love and appreciation for space planning, which stems from my degree in interior architecture and design. Just really excited to be here and speak to all of you in this beautiful showroom.
We're in really good hands today. So, the strongest work is never accidental, it is intentional. So, let's start with what editorial actually means. It's a word that gets talked about a lot, but what does it actually take to make an image memorable and not just beautiful? So, I want to pose to the group what separates an editorial image from everything else? Mariah, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I think for editorial, it's really about restraint. It's really about looking at something through the lens of finding what's really meaningful for those images. Because, you can have a really beautiful space, but it may not make a really beautiful photography piece. And so, really being able to go into any of your projects, especially if you're, wanting it to eventually be published, is really looking through that lens of what really, really needs to be here and what do we ultimately are trying to get to in terms of the goal, right? Of the brief of what we're trying to say and what story we're trying to really convey.
So we were literally just having this conversation
Totally.
5 minutes ago. So, you know, Mariah as a stylist and me as an interior designer, we can both style, right? Like we can style. I style. We style for our own photo shoots. And I was literally just saying, not doing it anymore. Like I'm done. It's a lot. Um, but I am certainly not an expert in editorial. So and I happen to be like a more is more. Like I'm not a minimalist, but to your point, like editorial really is about minimalism. So for me, I'm like, throw this in there and that in there and give me this one and that one. No, it's about pared down, focusing on the space, like, making sure you just have that right pop, that right accent piece. And it's just very different styling for editorial than it is styling for everyday living, which we can do and we do. But that's why we have our trusted team of experts here.
It takes a village, right? I mean, really, it's a collaboration of kind of photography, styling,
Yeah.
and interior designers.
I really feel like this starts so far before even the photo shoot prep. From an interior designer's point of view, I do something I feel like is a little bit unique. I really take time to concept and brainstorm and pick a storyline for the project. It starts with not just mood board photos of what looks pretty, it's really defining what the client wants out of the space and what I'm trying to show. I spend time coming up with a project and name that I feel like really represents the brand of this project and picking the storyline because it goes when you get deep into the weeds of decisions, even when it comes down styling for the shoot, you need to kind of have like a true north or a direction or again the story you're trying to unfold as the chapters evolve through the renovation or build process. And as a designer, I need to be able to tell Mariah or Tori, this is what we're trying to show. This is the story we're trying to show or tell in this project. And you have to kind of have that figured out or directed for you guys to be able to execute it properly.
Yeah, and I think also an editor on the other side, right? Someone who's going to be looking at it through that lens wants to answer those questions, right? They're going to want to be able to look at those images and immediately be able to say, oh, I see what you were going for. I see. And also, it may be beautiful, but there's intention. There's a true intention about what this was meant to say. And I think those are the moments where you really start to stand out and you really start to have a really clear perspective.
And to that point, what actually gets something published versus just seen?
Yeah.
Anybody?
In a world of Pinterest, in monotony. I mean, I think you have to have personality. I think you have to be unique. It has to bring that wow factor. And not just for the publishing, but for your client as an interior designer too. I think make it unique, make it personal, have it tell a story, and that is what is going to get published.
And I think also consistency, right? As a storyteller, if it's your brand, right? Being able to have that through line that feels really consistent so that when anyone looks at that image, they know it's you before they read the caption. That's really powerful. And being able to do that consistently over many shoots, over many years of being in a career, it's really powerful when you can say, oh, yeah, I can see how this person's work is starting to make a bigger storyline.
And also evolve too, right? Like
That
it's okay to evolve and change your mind and be into a color today, blue, that you're not normally into. But it's a little inside joke for my girls. But yeah, and but as long as, to your point, you have that through storyline and you're building a brand. I mean, that is and I think that also helps to get published too, right? When you have that brand and they go to your website or they go to your Instagram and they're like, okay, like she's not just like a one-hit wonder. Like she knows what she's doing, she or he, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that that's also super important.
Yeah. But to your point, Allison, when do you actually know that an image is strong enough to represent your brand?
Right. I think it's a little gut feeling too, like I think you have that little gut feeling like, oh my God, you get tingles like this, like, we're on a photo shoot not all the time, but when we are on photo shoots, we see that one shot in the photographer's, iPad or whatever, and you get the chills, and you're just like, that's the shot. That's the money shot.
Yeah.
I wish we were all on photo shoots all the time. That's the fun
I'm
part.
not on photo.
Party all the
No,
time.
I'm not on photo shoots all the time.
But I think it's also a marriage between all the elements. It's light, it's design, architecture, it's styling. It's a beautiful marriage of that's where the tingles come in because you go, it's all working together,
Exactly.
and it's kind of an undescribable feeling. But I think it's really can be quite powerful because you feel it. You're all in the room going, "Ooh, that was really good," or like a beautiful shine of light comes through, and you go, "Okay, there it is."
I think it's so interesting too because whoever, is an interior designer in this room, like, and has had a professional photo shoot, like, what you see through your own eyes and what you see on the camera lens is totally different.
It's
right?
Yeah.
So, like, you're looking at something and you're like, that is beautiful. But then the thing is in the way.
oh yeah,
Like, you got to move it 3 inches
Gotta
to
move
the
it.
right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
perspective is very different.
Well, it is about what you add and what you hold back from doing. So, with that, the strongest images usually start long before the shoot, they start in the concept. So, do you design with photography in mind from the beginning? Ella, let's start with you.
Yeah, I've touched on this earlier, but I think having that vision from the start is so important so your project doesn't get off track. I'll also say, as like a renovator, someone who renovates a lot of old houses and someone who really focuses on space planning, think about what those angles are going to be. What are those beautiful shots going to be in the after moments? And make sure you're capturing that in the before, the during, the process, document it. I mean, I think it's so special to have that really impactful before and after, and so important to kind of think through some of those things early on, and just when you're working through the floor plan, be like, yeah, this is going to be the sight line in the house. Like, this is going to be the moment you see every day when you're walking into your kitchen, and this is what we're going to want to capture about this project too.
Yeah, and then I think in terms of styling, right? Like when we get to the photography stage, like having that already sort of mapped out is so beyond helpful because now we're making sure that your vision as the interior designer, because we work for the interior designer. We're there to really bring forth that story that's true to your brand. And your responsibility is the story of the people who live in this home, right? So for us, it's this sort of multi-layered experience. And so for us, it's like wonderful to have that brief of being like, we know exactly what angles you want to see as well, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah. No, you're an interior architect. And so you have this vision, this concept clearly way in the early stages. And how does that carry through the project?
Yeah, I think when you get so deep into the weeds of like, okay, which hardware are we going to, which pull are we going to put on this knob and this vanity on this floor of the house? I mean, there's so many layers of details and design decisions that we have to make. It's so great to have that prerogative set. This is the mission of the project. here's what we want things to look like at the end. I think it's so important to create a concept, even like a mission statement per se. It just really helps everything feel so uniform and consistent and just right as you walk through the house.
Yeah, definitely. Mariah, how do you interpret that vision through styling?
It's a collaboration. For us, it's really about making sure, as I was saying before, that we're in collaboration with an interior designer to make sure that the brand story, that through line, that consistency is really about how do you want it to feel when we're finished that makes it so true to who you are, and that we know that we've met the brief, right? Like that you come in, and so having that in ahead of time is like a dream. It's a dream situation.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a really beautiful marriage of kind of both mediums coming together.
Yeah, and that's where it starts, to become more than just the design. And so with that, the all important collaboration. So the best projects never happen in silos. We all know that it takes a team. They're built through collaboration. And so, Allison, I'm going to start with you here. What does a strong creative partnership actually look like?
I mean, it's everything, right? Like you have to we cannot wear all the hats, right? You have to relinquish control sometime. And I I mean, I was listening, to what Mariah was just saying about her vision and photography. I don't think that way. When I'm designing, I'm thinking about the project, the space, the clients, and then like I know it's going to be beautiful and I know we're going to get great photos, but like I'm not thinking about the angles or I'm just designing the space, and then I'm trusting my team to come in because that's not my expertise
Right.
and say this is the shot or that's the shot or this is how we're going to get that angle, because it's not that's not what I do. That's not my strong suit, right? So I think you really have to trust your partners that you choose to bring in.
Yep.
And let them you can't micromanage. You can't micromanage your team. You got to let them, do their thing too. But yeah, I think that's what really, like, let everybody shine.
Yeah.
As people in the professional services industry, right? Interior designers, photographers, stylists, we're all professionals. We hire professionals for so many other reasons in our life. Like, I'm not going to go to an artist and say, what's wrong with my health? You trust doctors, you trust, hairstylists, you trust all these other professional services, and our industry shouldn't be any different, right? I'm not an expert in photography or styling. It's so important to rely on those other professionals to do their job too. And like Allison said, relinquish some control, know when to delegate, know what isn't your strong suit, and play into your strengths.
Yeah, no doubt. Mariah, how do you step into a designer's vision and elevate it without overriding it?
It's always a beautiful conversation, right? It's a deeper, really understanding, I think, of the ultimate goal. What are we trying to share here? Like, what is your ultimate goal? And as I said before, we're building your brand. Like, so for me, I'm bringing your vision to life. And so for me, it's really about asking really good questions, having good communication, but also really having a clear goal at the end of this is what I hope to get out of this, and then we work back from that. And it's really it's for me it's about how do I support you to ultimately be have success in this. Like that's really where I come in and be a collaborator on that level. So
No, and I think the anchor is the strongest work comes from trust and a shared point of view. And that's really where having a collaborative team, having a collaborative experience, and it just doesn't happen by osmosis. It really is very intentional. So, where does trust get built or lost in the process?
Hmm. Anybody?
Communication.
I just about to say communication, I think, is like key. It has to be. And I think kind of over communicating, and I also think strategy. Like I believe that really beautiful creative comes from really good strategy and planning. And I think that when we go into anything, whether it's a shoot or just working collaboratively together, really understanding what everyone's role is, what everyone's responsible for, and also like ultimately what we've talked about, like what is the big win that we want to have? You know, is that being published, or is this like a beautiful feature, or is this, what's it going to lead to? And so that we all can like be on that wave together to make sure that we really accomplish all that. That's really important. So
It's good. So we're all designing in a scroll first world, but not everything that performs gets published. So, what's the difference between designing for social versus designing for press?
I can take this one. It's so different. Like, I have somebody, again, I'm a big believer in, you know, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but allowing the people who are good at the things that they do to do that. So I have somebody who manages my social media. It's not my forte. It is not where I want to be or should be spending my time. So she knows out of my portfolio of photos or whatever it is, what she's going to post. There are pictures that she posts and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have posted that one, or that shouldn't have been the cover photo of the carousel or whatever. And those are always the photos that get the most likes or the most comments. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm talking about, but at least she does, you know? So it's so interesting. Like, you never, and your Instagram is like a world that I'll never understand. And what's trending, what's not, whatever. I just don't get it.
Algorithms.
I don't get involved in that, right? Like, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's wild what ends up, you know, going viral versus the photos that you really think like, or the content that you really think is amazing, you know, and what you're so proud of. And it's all our work, right? So we're proud of all of it, but it's just, I, I, I don't know the answer to that question. So
I feel like in our industry, Instagram and social media is used as somewhat of a search engine. People aren't going to go to Google and be like, okay, interior designers in my area. Maybe they are. And it's going to lead you to your Instagram page, right? Like, we're in a visual industry. People go to look at your Instagram. That's like your marketing, right? And so I feel like your Instagram needs to be I have found that opinion-based things, educational things get people to your Instagram page. And if they're going to your portfolio, they're invested, right? Like, they're interested in what you have to put out into the world. And so I feel like the portfolio can be some more of those like beautiful editorial shots. Like, Tori loves a horizontal photo, right? Like, that looks great on your website. You need some of that to put that out. And so people can really dive into the details. You need to find flashy ways to attract people to your Instagram to get them to your portfolio.
No,
In my opinion, I'm no master marketer, but that's just what I have found success with.
no, for sure. Mariah, did you want to add to that?
I mean, as a stylist, I'm always thinking editorial backwards. Like nothing is it's always, that's always the end goal, in the sense of gives you an amazing brand asset library that you can use across it all. So for us, it's like, how do we be able to give you kind of the pick of the pick of the litter really, to kind of use in all of these different scenarios, whether it's social, whether it is your portfolio site, whether it is, a beautiful asset that you're sending to clients, like things like that, that really, I'm never thinking of it just in a silo of, okay, we're just doing this for social. I'm thinking of it holistically.
Yeah, no, it's good. Allison, I mean, you're killing it. You've built your business. Social media has built her business. But I really want to know what actually moved the needle and what didn't. Like, give us some do's and don'ts here.
So I started my business about 5 years ago. This is a second career for me. I was in the fashion industry for 20 years and decided I had had enough and to schlep into the city. We live right outside New York City, and I wasn't going to do it anymore. So took my stab at interior design and had no idea what I was doing. Not technically trained in design. I have, my team for that, but um, loved it, had a passion for it. So I started designing, and I started an Instagram. I started putting my face on camera and saying, hey guys, whatever. Bullshit. Sorry. But, sorry. But that's what I did. And don't know why, but it worked.
Yeah.
And we started gaining traction from that. And kind of what I've learned over the years is our industry, interior design, is such a personal industry, right? People want to connect with you, and you're very personally involved in their lives, and you're spending a year plus with their family. You're talking about what side of the bed they sleep on. You're talking about how they use their toilets, like very personal stuff. So they have to feel comfortable with you. Also, the financial part of it, right? Like it's an investment. Like they're spending a lot of money with you, not only on your services, but trusting you to make decisions for them that is their life savings, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a very personal thing. So, and I think I said, I was talking to somebody recently where I was like, I'm not a kitchen. I'm not a bathroom. I'm an actual human. So having people be able to connect with me through my Instagram and see that, like, okay, she's real. She has, green streaks in her hair. She says curse words. Like, she's
She
a real.
drinks Prosecco.
I had 2 glasses before the panel. Um, I think that has really helped in um, making people feel comfortable to reach out, even if it's just like laughing at I love that, or that was really funny, or whatever. And then maybe 2 years down the road, they're ready for that renovation and they're going to remember you and they're going to so like using that as a tool and understanding that this really is such a personal decision for people and an intimidating decision for people, because I think unfortunately interior designers can have that stigma of being like stuck up, like they're just here to spend my money and they're not thinking of, nope, that's not, all I care about is making your house livable and comfortable and wanting you to be happy. So I think using your platform as a way to invite people in to your brain and your life is everything in this business.
And
Yeah.
it also builds your personal brand, right? It's there to really be in kind of behind the scenes of who you are, how you think, what decisions you like to make. Like just it gives more personality. I think one of the big things that we're seeing right now with editors is like they want personality. They want
Influencers now.
we totally. And it's all about like what story are you telling, but also like what makes you unique in this space and what kind of sets you apart. And it's not perfection is not the answer these days. It's about really being really unique in the space. And that's what they're looking for. They're going to be like, this looks like something I've seen before, right? I'm not even interested. And so to really kind of like carve out your own little corner and say like, this is who I am. If you like it, if you don't like it,
100.
right? It's kind of like, but this is how I want to show up. And if that's your people, your audience will find you.
And to your point, and I think we spoke about this too, I like to use it as a way to filter out people too who are in a good fit,
So true.
because if you are offended by you don't like the way I dress, or you don't like whatever, how I talk, or we're not a good fit. Like, I don't, and that's okay,
It's a very intimate
Yeah.
like relationship
Yeah.
built with
Right.
each other. I mean, you're
So
building
unfollow. Yeah.
So really here, not everything has to be shown, but what you do show matters. And so that brings us to a lot of it comes down to the edit. A lot of it comes down to editing and restraint. So if there's one thing that defines strong work, that's editing. And so, Mariah, I want to start with you. How do you know when to stop styling? Put it down.
I always find that styling specifically in a shoot, it's exactly when it's just before you think it's done. It's just like you get to that point and you want to keep adding. Like you're like, oh, this needs more. This needs more. It's exactly that point that you need to stop. And at that point, also, you need to even take 1 or 2 more things away because you've kind of almost gone a little too far. And it's in the actual restraint of pulling back, like less, not for the sake of less like really the edit is there to keep clarity around brand and to also give you a moment to breathe. Because when light can come in and you can start to actually see architecture and you can start to see the story, and you have that space, that breathing space, that's when I think the magic happens. It's really where things go, they kind of all click. And I would also agree, like as a stylist, I also get those little fluttery. I'm like, oh yeah, we're there. And I find myself kind of like holding back. And I think that's where the point of I think where it really starts to make sure it really hits where it needs to. So.
And I'll pose to all of you, where do you edit the most? Design, styling, or imagery?
I feel like with design, everything you're putting in is so intentional. You're not removing, you're adding, right? So every decision you make is with so much intention and thought.
Yeah.
I feel like the taking away comes with photo shoots. I mean, the way we live is not the way we style things to be editorial.
Excellent.
And I feel like it's, as an interior designer, it's so important to kind of prime your clients on that ahead of time. Mariah and I were talking
Please.
before this. I was like, I walk through and I take a video of my client's house and then we pack everything up.
Yeah.
And I mean, not everything. We try to use a lot of their things for photo shoots and styling, but take a video so you can put it all back together. But a lot of it is paring it down. What the camera sees is so different than the way we live, and that's just reality. And you have to know how to remove instead of add.
Yeah. The frame is this big, right? We're not looking wide. We're looking this and even closer. And so it does. Tori's the genius of this, but looking behind a lens is a completely different perspective than with our vision. So
Yes, I have special eyes. Truly do. Ella, again with the clarity of concept.
Yeah.
How do you carry that all the way through to the final images? Because you have been on a lot of photo shoots. And so I feel like you are probably the expert as the designer on how many photo shoots you've been on. So how do you accomplish that?
Well, Tori and I are getting ready for a couple of really fun photo shoots coming up in June. And I've been thinking about this for months already, right? I'm going through and I'm revisiting those initial concept pages that I haven't looked at, right, in maybe 6 months. It's
Right.
been a while since we've kind of started the process and clients have been moved in for a little bit. So I'm kind of revisiting what was that initial, like, what was the story I wanted to tell? What is that initial goal? And looking at that, and what I do for myself to keep myself on track, I'm going through and making mood boards or design boards of the way I want to style things. And obviously things are going to ebb and flow and change as we're going through it, because sometimes you can't feel it until you're doing it. It's that like extra sense that you can just feel that something is right in the way that you want to show it. But it's going through and having somewhat of a mission or a mindset of, this is my goal. This is what I want to do with the space. This is how I want to show the space. This is how I show, I love when you can have a big variety of styles or big variety of projects, but I think so much of that through line of this is what my brand is comes down through that styling as well.
Yeah. No, it's important. Do you want to add anything to that about editing and restraint?
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, for me, like when we're in a project, we're in the project and we're not thinking about the photo shoot at the end.
The
Like,
lemons.
yeah, we're thinking about the tile and the placement of the faucet and making sure that light fixture is in exactly the right location. There is an edit, I think. I think, I said before, like, I tend to be a maximalist and I want all the things in one tiny space, and that's not always going to work. So, we just did this the other day where we were talking about, a foyer in a beach house, and we had a checkered floor, and we loved the idea of tiling the arch with also like a checkered arch. And then we rendered it and we were like, nope, that has to, like, that's too much. So I think we definitely edit all the time in our work, but I think editing in photo shoots also is obviously extremely important, because I think if you're in person looking at a shelf styled, I think you need that stack and you need the thing on top of the stack but in a photo shoot, you really do need to pare it down. But again, that's why I say,
I think
do your thing.
I think it comes down to that becomes your point of view. When you've restrained and edited, and that truly speaks to your point of view. And so, just to leave you with the thought, do designers tend to overdo it or under edit? And that's kind of where you have to be real with yourself and learn to kind of have that eye with your collaborators and your team, and until it feels good to you, and then that becomes your point of view out in the world. So I think, does anybody want to add anything else to that point?
I'll add one thing. I think also experiment. You don't know, you have to define your own signature style, right? This is something I've really been focusing on and learning as someone who previously worked for other designers. You kind of style with their point of view and you're learning their lens and their point of view. You need to experiment and figure out what resonates with you, what makes you happy, what gives you, like Mariah said, those butterfly moments. It's like, yes, this is what I love. This is what looks like me. And it requires, like, you just have to, like, kind of like let go and have fun with it too, and be like, this is what resonates with me, and to try through that process to define your signature style.
It's good.
Yeah, and I think also like leaving things up for like chance, right? That beautiful serendipity of things just sort of falling into place, or like that experimentation is so fun, but it also can lead to really beautiful moments. And what I find is I always like a little bit of imperfection, just a little bit of humanity in anything, because there it really starts to go, oh, life is happening in these photos.
Especially in the world of AI.
Especially in a world of AI. Perfection is, we're getting too perfect, right? And so how do we keep a human touch on the work that we do?
Yeah, and I want, before we leave this topic, I think what's really important is how do you make your imagery and your spaces and your point of view feel timeless and not just for the moment? Is there a trick to it? Do you have a sense of it?
I think mixing styles. My favorite thing is juxtaposition of two things that maybe wouldn't always go together. My favorite kind of project, like I said this earlier, but my favorite thing is like a really traditional historic home. Where I live in Michigan, there's a lot of beautiful historic homes. I love to get my hands on that and honor it and respect it, but bring in like an unexpected touch, a modern flair, something that's like, oh, that's interesting. That wouldn't be what I would expect to see there. And I think the same thing comes down to styling and doing photo shoots too. Add in a little bit unexpected, add in something that's defining or, unique. Yeah, bring in the juxtaposition of old, new, high, low, modern, traditional, mix
Bring in
it.
the weird too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring in creepy.
Yeah, bring in the weird. I think it's like fun. It's like be playful in it too. Like have fun with it. And I think that's really where things become a little bit more interesting, right? We're not there to like, and I think that also helps people to kind of start to go, oh, I've seen that person do this before. That's cool. And it kind of pushes you into this new space, because I think timeless is amazing, but it's kind of like, what is timeless? Like for everyone, it's their own perspective of what that is, right? So I think getting a little cool, getting a little weird is always a really good way to go. So
When you mix eras or design styles, you can't pinpoint it,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have something vintage with something new, you don't really know when in time it was created or where it could be. I think when you mix things together, it instantly makes it timeless.
yeah, and it also creates like a new formula, right? Like you're creating like a new perspective, right? Because you're like, oh, I've never seen those two things together. So it's fun. It's fun to kind of push the edge a little bit, just to kind of get people to start talking, right? We want people to look at your images and be like, oh, that's really cool. I've never seen someone do that before. Or that inspires me to kind of go look at my spaces differently. And that's really what our hope is, I think, at the end.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys just said too. And I want to add, I think not paying attention to trends too. I think this is not, a shirt, right? This is a big investment. This is something that has to last 10, 20 years for somebody. And we don't pay attention to trends. We design what we feel. And of course, everybody's, influenced by trends, especially with the social media era and, everything that you see. But I think just having your own organic style and, to your point, mixing eras, because I feel like there was a time like maybe 10 years ago that mid-century modern was like so on trend and it was everywhere. And like, now you see it a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's mixed with like a vintage piece or this or that. And I think that's the way to really create your own signature style, but also a style that's timeless. But yeah, trends are not it. Like, don't,
Yeah.
I that is the one question that I get asked a lot. What's your favorite trend? I hate that question.
No one,
Really
no
hate.
one should ever ask that
No.
question.
Right.
No, I always think of it like there's a great quote by Jimmy Iovine who says, just put your blinders up. Be a racehorse and put your blinders up. Because ultimately, there's plenty of space at the top to do exactly who you are in the space. And your unique perspective is really valuable. And so everyone should really like have authority and agency in that, and to feel really strong. So just put your blinders up and enjoy the ride.
No doubt, no doubt. If there's one thread through all of this, it's clarity.
Yeah.
And so many of you might be seasoned in collaborating on photo shoots. Some of you, is anyone preparing for a photo shoot as we speak? Any designs wrapping up, installations happening? We try to get that photo shoot very close or not in parallel with install So the clients don't have time to live in the space.
And mess it up.
How dare they? How dare they live in their spaces?
know,
We need to
so-
photograph it.
But sometimes it's nice to just have a little humility.
Absolutely.
At least as a stylist perspective, I love a little bit of who's going to actually live there. Because to me, that's where the story also begins.
No doubt.
You know,
no doubt. But not too
It's
messy.
not too messy.
Okay. So this is our lightning round for our panelists.
Are you ready?
One thing designers should think about before their next shoot or their next install day. It doesn't have to be a photo shoot. It might be install day or how you're putting things together. So Ella, let's start with you.
Okay, foraging. My favorite thing to do with photo shoots is foraging plants. Think about what's going to be in season and what you can use.
We've talked about this.
I'm obsessed with it.
Okay, foraging.
I'm going to say the lighting, the weather for the day, right? Like that can change everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are we editing out? What are we removing? Bring as much as you want, but we will be taking a lot away. And I think that's really important to just put on that like editing eye and making sure that, you know, and not having any expectations, because when you're in that process of editing, sometimes it'll really surprise you. So I think that preparation is super important.
And I will say trust. Trust me. I have a proven track record. And if you give me the space, I will deliver. I will deliver above and beyond your expectations. But there has to be trust. And so with that, I'd like to open it up for questions. So anybody that has questions for the panel? Come on, don't be shy.
So I actually work in PR for technology brands. So I'm really curious because I hear quite often from the design community as well as the integration community of getting the photography crew together. Who owns the photography? How do you get the release? How many cooks in that kitchen?
Okay, that sounds like me. Yep. Okay, so with every photo shoot, there is one usage license, and that usage license is for organic marketing purposes, which is for your social media, which is for your marketing, which is for publishing. But what it is not is for third-party participants. Anybody that wants to utilize the images needs to have a usage license. The photographer, the one who clicks, owns the copyright. So it's just, in the world of AI, in the world of so much being out there in social media, it's important to just have that clarity and knowledge. And what I would say is have that conversation well in advance of signing the contract with your photographer, with your collaborators, so that you have a really strong understanding. I want to use the imagery for this, or go into a cost share. That is the most strategic way to go. So the architect, the builder, the lighting company, if they have skin in the game, if they want to have these assets to help build their brand, then have them get in on the photo shoot to help you pay for it, because it is a huge investment with a stylist, with a photographer, with your staff coming out. You're not working that day. You're actually taking time, whether it's a 1, 2, or 3-day shoot. It may often be a 2-day shoot if it's a large home, first floor, second floor, depending on what the goal is and what the assets are. Did that help answer your question? Okay, I'm all about licensing. Ask me anything. Okay.
So I have 2 questions. The first is, how do you pitch then your photos to magazines to get published, and like kind of the method of that? I know that it can get complicated. And then my second question is, like we're all pretty young new designers, recently graduated like 3 years, and I feel like I'm struggling trying to find like my definitive style because I like so much. So it's kind of hard to see the pathway of like, oh, do I like more organic or more traditional, or trying to find that blend. And I liked what you guys said about combining things, but yeah, kind of just like how do I define my style? Yeah. I can take that. I can take both of them. So for us, we have a PR team. We we have a team that is their job, right? To get our photos, and they will also help prep us for the photo shoot. So we'll give them, basic iPhone photos, and they'll be like, this is a great angle, or whatever. So that's part of it. But if you're not ready to invest in a PR team, the best thing to do would be to hone in on the magazines that you feel passionate about and that you admire, and that would be goals for you, and start an Instagram relationship with them. Start liking all of their stuff. Start DMing them. Get on their radar, and they'll see, and then you can start organically pitching them yourselves. You don't need a PR team. You can do it yourself. Yeah.
I would add only pitch one publication at a time
Yes.
and create organic
Yeah,
relationships.
that's one way
Don't
to
just
piss people off.
just start now. Start networking with people now, because you don't want to just feel like, oh, I need something from you.
Yeah.
Like, make a real relationship.
Yeah. And then I would say, to your second question, I love that. Like, I love that there's so many different. I would not say that we have one specific style, right? Like, we're kind of all over the place. We're a little more modern on this project. We're a little more traditional on this project. We're a little more like California coastal on this project. Like, and it's okay. You should have one kind of like thread that is like, the through line. I think we use that term a lot in this panel, but that carries you through. But I think changing it up is what's going to make you interesting to people, and make you appeal to more of a, a client base. And my friend Jacqueline, I think she just posted something recently that she doesn't have a style, right? Like, you don't have a style. You just kind of go with what your client feels and put your little touches and tweaks on it. And I think that's amazing. And you don't have to have a style, you know?
I was talking about this with my friend this morning. We were saying, I love that I'm not pinpointed to one only style. There's what Allison just said, there's through lines in every piece of my work that you can see, but you can do it on a variety of different houses, and that's what makes it fun. But also say, what puts you at peace? Like, think about what projects you enjoy the most. Like, what felt right? What was harmonious for you? What did you enjoy selecting? And what was maybe a little bit more challenging to you and not so great of a way? And I think sometimes it kind of finds you in what you enjoy doing and what projects you enjoy the most. That might be kind of what resonates with you the most.
And I would just add that it's really important to do some brand strategy when you're working. Like, the projects are the projects, and you guys also have like so much input from a client, right? Who has tons of ideas and thoughts. So it can kind of get a little like, what's true to me? What's true to them? So I always love working with interior designers who have just a baseline of like, this is what I stand for. These are my values. This is what I'm drawn to or attracted to, so that, at least from my perspective, I know where you're headed or where you want to head. Doesn't mean that you have to have like pure clarity on that, because we're evolving people.
Constantly.
Designers are creative human beings who want to like keep growing and learning and expanding. But I think doing some brand work, even at the minimal, like your voice, your positioning, just how you like to show up visually, like the basics will just feel so grounding. It builds such a nice foundation underneath you, so that from that point, you can kind of go be more expansive, right? So you have something to kind of stand on. So that would just be something else I'd add.
And it helps to guide the photo shoot.
It does.
It really does. So if I have a definitive understanding of who you are as a brand and clarity around that, it helps me interpret and give you those visual marketing assets that are going to help expand it and help it grow. Anybody else have a question?
So you guys talked a lot about editing, and so these two girls over here and this girl over here and one who's outside, we call ourselves the design panel in our little group chat.
Oh, okay.
And we always are like, hey, what do you think about this? And hey, what do you think about that? And I had this fireplace that I was trying to style for photo shoot, and it was just driving me effing bananas, and I couldn't put anything where I liked it, and it was just overwhelming. And they're like, you need to edit. There's too much. You've got to pull some of the stuff back. And so I did, and I did the thing where I'm looking through the photographer's lens, like as they're taking the picture. I'm like, I'm sorry, we got to do that again. I got to move this 3 inches to the left. Like we got to do that again. So it's editing, and it's looking through the photographer's lens, because it is different than what you see when you look at it on the table than versus what you're going to see in that picture. But couldn't do it without a group of people who are supportive and who are saying, yeah, you're like on the right track, but don't hesitate to like reach out to to other people in your group and collaborate and share and edit.
I love that. Building community, having a shared vision and helping each other out because we can be very siloed. And, having those relationships can really get us out of our own heads. Anybody else? Well, we really appreciate you taking this time. Listen, there's a lot of great panels going on all around High Point. I'm excited about the keynote speech today. And we just thank you so much for sharing this time with us. And if you have any questions, come up to us individually and have a wonderful market.